Nobody returned my call. Nobody returned my call.
Yeah.
And this is it bothered me to a point. I was telling Roberto this, and I was like, how could you know? Is it just a shock to me? People was always like this. I have never seen that kind of bitterness.
I think what it is that many of them were so sure, they were so arrogant. They believed in themselves and their in the tabs, the political tabs that they put out there that Donald Trump was going to lose. So when their people, when their person lost Harris, they didn't know how to take it. They didn't know what to say because they had been so arrogant, so rude, so hostile, and pushing this narrative that this guy who is Trump, the new Hitler is going to destroy America. So they believe that. Now they don't know what to do. But what's so interesting now is that if he was so bad, no one is saying that again. I mean, no one is really saying that he's a Hitler. No one is saying that democracy is dead. I mean, they have found out that their own people had lied to them, and that's what's hurtful.
And not because Roberto is a friend that I know him for a while. Throughout the season, Roberto become my therapist.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah.
gotta make him laugh because I come up with stuff. The reason why, remember, whatever text I put out there, he respond to it, and we forward within the text between all of us.
Yes, yes, yes.
And sometimes I'll share the things with friends; they don't respond. And sometimes I do it for purpose, for a reason, just to see where people's at.
Mhm.
If they're flicking out on me, putting little things out there, and actually, and I was able to address that to somebody that's ignored my text, and I was like, "What's going on, man?" Because I don't take it that personal. I don't. I love what I do between us,
Mhm.
and I enjoy it. I move on.
Right.
But this is a different time in America. Is it because all the lies, all the hypocrisy being exposed? Because when I look at even among black leaders, this is being talked on the dinner table in America right now. How, for instance, the Oprah Winfrey crowd, some of the Pastor Jamal crowd, where these people say they with the black community, but how much money that they take to actually spread their gossip and their
Yeah.
lie. So I just wonder if that's where that bitterness is coming from.
Again, I think it is because they saw that their own people lied. I mean, anytime you have Al Sharpton who takes $500,000 or even more um, to give a interview and softball questions, anytime the candidate raises $1.5 million and still owes about $25 million, 1.5 billion, and still owes $25 million, they're embarrassed. Anytime they have people like Charlemagne the God. Um, Beginning to show the hypocrisy as to what has taken place, they are embarrassed. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do, and they don't know how to respond. What do you think, Amelia?
Oh, hello, gentlemen. Hello, Dr. Issa White, Roberto, Jeff. Sorry, Jeff, I couldn't come in today. Miss you. But you're right. Charlemagne came out today, and I actually already made a stream about that on my own channel, talking about him and how he is upset with some of these things. He's not upset that Joe Biden pardoned his son or anything like that, but he is actually upset because they didn't go far enough. Like, he's calling them out on their hypocrisy, but it's like, well, you promised us student loan relief, you didn't do that, you promised us this and you promised us that, all of this progressive stuff, and that's really what he's upset. But I'm with you there, Dr. White, that he is actually standing up and saying something.
Yeah, I mean, they found out in reality now the progressive movement is dead. It's completely dead. There's no one there. AOC, Talib, all of them have been called out because they're hypocrites. They lie to the American people, and they're really part of the establishment. In fact, about it, I'll show you one. Yesterday, I was at a defense conference, the largest defense expo in the world. With Lockheed Martin and everybody else there. Guess who was there trying to get support and money? Maxwell Frost.
No.
Oh yes. Now he says that he's against war. He says that he is not taking no lobbyist money, but he is out there peddling trying to get them to support him. We got pictures with him. All right. At the largest defense expo in the world. People were there from all over. So that type of hypocrisy illustrates that one, either the whole system is flawed or the democratic system and their organization is nothing but a group of criminal behavior characters that makes Al Capone and the mafia syndicate look like Sunday school teachers.
You're absolutely right. Roberto, glad to have you.
Oh, you share this.
All right, we got to share, Dr. White. Dr. White, good evening, brother. Good evening. Voy, good evening.
Good evening, Roberto.
You know, Amania, you are here in person. So whether you're here physically or not, you're always here with us. So good evening to you.
Good evening.
WOKB, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here. Despite being out all day, Voy, it's a commitment. And I
appreciate you because you could have be somewhere else, your family, but
nah, man, this is a commitment.
And I want to say, if your wife is listening, I want to commend your wife and say thank you. I would express that to Dr. White. Thank his wife over on Sunday.
I appreciate that, but I got to jump in because you said something important, and Dr. White, as he's gonna get to know me, Dr. White, I'll argue till the sky is blue with my brothers because I grew up with about 10 cousins. You argue about everything, and sometimes after you eat dinner, there's no electricity. There's no internet growing up in Haiti. It's okay. Brazil versus Argentina. Well, Brazil sucks, even though you're a Brazil fan. No, you know that. But there you go. So we just start the argument. That's why we get the digestion going, right? So this is why I'm saying that. We are in a spot in America today where we cannot argue. We cannot disagree. Where we have to demonize one another. Civil discourse is dead.
Yeah.
Guys, Thanksgiving just happened. Do you know how many families were ripped apart? Because you have people in the national media telling people that you shouldn't mingle with such and such person because they voted for Donald Trump. You shouldn't mingle with such and such person because they want to be nominated for the DEA admin job. I think it's sad and pathetic because you guys know where I stand. I stand in that middle. I'm not wavering because to me, political parties are dead in America. Until you can show me that you can unify this country, both parties. And I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. I'm not entertaining signing up for anybody. I know where he's going to go with this, but here's what I want to say. We have got to come back to our senses. Dr. White and I will never agree on 100% of things. I have my own brothers that we grew up together, that we can barely agree on 2 things at the dinner table, let alone 100 things. But at the end of the day, we got to have empathy. We got to understand Dr. White is a human being. Voy is a human being. Voy is my brother. Dr. White is my brother. The things that unite us are much stronger than the things that divide us. Until we reclaim that spirit, I don't want to hear about political parties in America. I'll tell you right now. Voy is always going to tell me the Democrats do this. I know. But at this point in this country, what is the sense of political parties? If it's only to tell people you can sit at the dinner table together on Thanksgiving, where you should be giving thanks for all the things you've done this year or your family has gone through, survive as a family.
But Roberto, you have to look at this, the party that's promoting this is the people that are promoting this to be tolerance that towards democracy, but they not. And that's what's shocking to me.
There's some growing up to be done from the Democrats.
People has been flicking on me because it's like, I didn't expect this.
But I agree with you. And I think Dr. White mentioned something that we need to address a bit, right? And I think it has to do with the lack of experience from a lot of the operatives from the Democratic side. A lot of people are blaming Kamala Harris today. I will not get into that game. But the biggest mistake Kamala Harris made was trusting the Democratic system to run our campaign. Hold on. No. What I'm saying is this. When you have a bunch of 20-year-olds that life never knocked down, that never built anything, that never understood what's at stake for an election, you really trust them to run what you're saying is the most important elections of your time. This is the last election you might have. So you're saying one thing, but your entire infrastructure to win is saying something different. And I'll use Congressman Frost, and I'm not knocking the congressman. But what life experience does he have to understand you can't flip-flop on certain things, and it's not even what you say, it's what you do. If you're saying you're anti-war, if you're saying you're anti the industrial machine of the United States, you cannot go to a conference where the defense contractors of America are organizing it. It can't happen. I don't care if you're gonna bring 1,001 jobs to your district, but do they have that experience, Dr. White, to know that by showing your face, they're taking a picture there, you're flip-flopping already?
Absolutely.
And I think that's where the Democratic Party is failing us in America today, because they don't have people that have a backbone, that have gone through life, where they failed on a couple of businesses. They failed at so many things in their lives that they're like, all right, you know what? I've learned from these mistakes. Now I'm gonna move forward. I'm gonna provide policies for Americans that have gone through what I've gone through. But when your experience is college campuses or any other things, and I'm not knocking them, you can't really be a good legislator. That's just how I feel.
Roberto, I think is a hope. I don't think this country will recover the way the liberal media, okay, so extreme, and also some of these politicians. I don't think if you're waiting for the magic wand for these people to come to the census, I don't think it's going to happen.
I think what Alberto said, he made a lot of good points. The problem is that the Democrats, they thought of the now. They didn't think of the future. So when they got people like Frost and so many of these other so-called progressives, they really thought that, wow, we're going to get the young people. It's going to be exciting. We don't have to give them anything. Just put them out there on a platform so they can sing, holler, and shout. They did not realize that there's going to be a major war. They did not realize that the economy was going to take a downturn. They did not realize that we was going to have so many problems. So now we have these issues, and these people like Frost and others, you're right, have no experience. They never had a job. They never had a mortgage. They don't have no children. They have nothing. You see, and that's what we put our hands in. Now with the parties, I think you're right in some ways, in that the American people have gone away from parties. They don't like parties like they used to. However, I do believe that the Republicans right now is a better choice. All right, it's a better institution because they're raising the question. They're highlighting the contradictions and the hypocrisy, something that the Democrats are not doing. Now, when they had this fall, what are they doing? They're like crabs now. They're fighting each other. They're not looking at the real problems that took place and the real problems of the American society.
Gentlemen, I'd like to just throw something in. So, on the topic of Maxwell Frost, I recently had a run-in with him, and Voy, I think we've talked about it. I ran into him on election day while I was out there working the grounds, and I took the opportunity to just have a conversation on camera, and that video is on my channel. And so I posed to him the question because we had two very, well, I want to say two very important, but we had two amendments on the ballot. As you know, we had Amendment 2, which is the preservation of wildlife, animals, cats and dogs, and these things. And then we also had the killing of babies, Amendment 4. And so I posed the congressman the question, where do you stand on Amendment 2, saving animal lives? Oh, we're all on, we're voting no on that because they don't want you to be able, you can't hurt animals. We're voting no on that. And I said, well, Congressman, where are you on Amendment 4? And that's the one that kills babies. He says, we're yes on that. We're voting yes on Amendment 4. And my question to him was, so you're all for saving the lives of animals, but you're not for saving the lives of humans. And again, this is where we are as a society, putting forth what's really important to these people. And so I just wanted to throw that in. That was a real interaction that I had with Congressman Frost a couple of weeks ago. So,
and to that point, Amania, there's a case right now in the Supreme Court. I think it's continued, and I'm listening to some of these Supreme Court justice opinion. And this case is for the Supreme Court uphold gender affirming care for minor. The attorney that's have to go in front of the Supreme Court, and I'm listening to Justice Khatijah Jackson, who was appointed by Joe Biden. And to the point of Roberto.
I'm sorry, Voy.
Yeah.
Is she the one who doesn't know what a woman is?
Yes.
Is that the one we're talking? The woman who don't know what a woman is?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now she's comparing gender affirming care for minors as a racist. Now, how do you make, and this, I'm addressing this to people that's listening to us. I know I have a very smart audience, and I know Roberto's the independent guy out here. how do you, Roberto, on a serious note, she's a very smart woman. Okay. And this is the case, Tennessee banning the gender affirming care for minors. Okay. And you still have minor children. And I'm asking you as a parent, because this is the new America.
Well, this is what I will say to you without diving into the case, and this is not from a legal perspective. We're not lawyers.
No.
But from a common sense standpoint, I think the courts have gone backwards in America, and I'm not. This is where I stand on not liberal judges or conservative judges. I think the moment that judges started to legislate from the bench, we got in real deep trouble. Which means we have a Congress, we have a Senate. Rather than letting these guys do the legislations that we need in this country, the court started to do that. When you look at Roe v. Wade, then it changed now with a conservative court. They legislated again for the next maybe 25 to 50 years. It's going to be a new trend. We got in trouble for it. When you have, and Amania referred to, when you have a very intellectual person that's sitting in a hearing, not trying to define what a woman is based on what we know. Because at this point in our life, we know 1 + 1 = 2. You might disagree with it, but based on everything that we've known so far, all formative education years that we have, 1 + 1 = 2. I think we have a pretty good idea of what is a woman, what is a man. But I do remember that hearing. It was really painful to watch simply because that person is trying to
Because you have a
appeal.
little girl.
No. But this is where I'm going with this.
Watching
This is where America is. I got to pander and cater to a certain group, and the conservative do it too.
I don't agree with you. I don't think they're pandering. I think they truly believe that. I don't. No, Roberto.
Let me
No.
finish.
That we disagree.
We
on
are
that one.
talking about.
I
a
really
woman.
think
Hold on,
these
hold on,
people
hold on.
believe in
Boy,
that.
that is not the case. Here's what I'm gonna say.
These people believe that you could have a baby as a man.
No. I'm saying to you, we're talking about the judge. Let's stay specific with that particular case. This is a woman who's been a lawyer for God knows how long. She's been she has had a judgeship position for God knows how long. She knows, biologically speaking, the definition of a man or a woman. What we have in America, we have the hypocrisy of so many people that in public they'll say one thing, behind closed doors they say something else. That's what we have going on. Today you had a hearing today. I don't know if you saw the hearing about the airlines. And then you have one with the Secret Service and their failure with President Trump assassination.
That was something else.
But that's what I'm saying to you. It's becoming a theater show. It is ridiculous. But I'm tired of it. So it's not really even about the issue. Let's talk about the issue. Right now, we're talking about a medical issue, right? When you're talking about care for a minor.
That's mental. It's a mental issue.
No. That's why I said medical. I'm saying medical.
But no, it has a medical issue when a minor trying to change his sex.
You're not hearing
That's a mental issue.
Let's keep it simple.
No, but by twisting the word, by twisting the word, you say no. It is. You say it's a medical issue.
Is it not a medical issue?
Is it a medical issue for a 7-year-old, 8-year-old to change the sex?
Boy,
no, I'm asking you.
Whether you're a minor or you're an adult, whenever there's a procedure like that involved, is it medical or not? That's what I'm saying. 1 + 1 = 2.
Should an 8-year-old, 9-year-old boy?
Let me finish. We're not even in the politics.
Well, it's not a politic, but this is
from a medical standpoint.
This is what the Supreme Court is hearing today.
From a medical standpoint, we're talking about a procedure, whatever the procedure is. Why does that concern that particular judge? I make the decisions for my kids. What I'm trying to say to you is the consistency that we're lacking in this country, whether it's pro-life, pro-choice. I could care less. The same reason why the last amendment Amania was talking about, I would never agree to such an amendment where you would tell my kid they can have an abortion without me being the consenting adult. The same reason why my kid cannot take an aspirin from the school nurse if I don't give consent. So how are you going to allow my kid to have a medical procedure without my knowledge? We need to start getting governments out of every single thing that we do in America. That's the point I'm trying to make. If it's a medical decision Why does the government have to intervene and tell us how to live when it comes to these things? Why is it that we don't want to put the emphasis?
But you have
on
a
family?
Democrat Party who believes the
I don't care
government
about
must,
Democrats or Republicans.
must
You're missing that
intervene.
point.
No, I'm not missing the point, but the point is a 9-year-old or whatever age a minor
That's why
is,
it's absurd.
it should not have been a medical procedure. I am sorry. I can't say.
So that's how far back we've
figure
gone.
this.
Now we're getting somewhere.
I
That's
can't-
how far
I
back
can't-
we've gone as a
In my
society.
philosophy of mine, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's that we have to look at right now, the world looks at the United States with this whole issue of transgender and surgeries as being strange, foolish, backward. Today, Russia passed a law that stated that they will not allow any of their children to be adopted by a nation that allows transgender sex change operations on children. They have more sense than we do. And actually,
Yeah.
this is what most of the world. In fact, you ever see the last one? There's a case that's coming out right now. That's one, the Unabomber. All right, he just won a case stating that will allow the state to give him a transgender surgery. He just won. All right, these things are going crazy. So that shows
and
you-
today, if
it shows you
Kamala
that-
Harris would have become president, this thing was going to be on steroids.
It shows you that this country
That's where-
is
that's-
just functional. This country is just functional. All right, we're not looking at things that are needed, that is for real, and we're taking these types of things as being a precedent that's going to destroy the very fabric of the country that we live in.
But Dr. White, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I got to ask you the question though. Isn't it one of the primary reasons why, don't you think, is the moving away from family values, the moving away from some kind of belief system, whether it's God in the school system? Don't you think that plays a major role in the perversion of American?
In many respects, yes. We live in a country, in a capitalist so-called democracy, where we believe that anything goes. Everybody has the right to do anything you
Anything they
want.
want.
All right. And we have to have some types of rules and regulations, because if you don't, we have a helter-skelter society whereby we will be in on each other, it's destroyed, and we have nothing. We have anarchy. So we have to have some type of rules and regulations. And yes, family values must be part, and that must be taught. We must preach the idea of a nuclear family.
So, Dr. White, let's have this conversation, because I love to talk from a common sense standpoint. That's why I love to remove the politics out of it. We have kids right now. I will take my kids, for example. This month, they're into Paw Patrol. Next month, they're into Ryan's Toys Review. You probably don't have small children. That's different costume that you got to buy. That's different clothing that they're into. They're into sharks and what have you as they're growing up. Why would any parent, and I'm just asking the questions, allow a life-changing medical procedure to take place that their kid might struggle with within 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I say personal responsibility and accountability need to be part of this debate. The ban is already in state, is gonna stay. We have a conservative court. I don't see that ban being overturned overnight. But when are we gonna place back the emphasis on family values, family responsibilities? You have kids that can't even decide what to have for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you're gonna trust that kid to have a life-changing operation. That's what I was trying to tell my brother here, that we got to go back to the common sense
Roberto,
approach.
you have legislators that's introducing bills.
Their business.
to
I'm
ban
gonna protect my
parents
home
to
at all costs.
interfere.
Boy.
And
That's
that's
what
one
I'm
of the
trying to
hearings
tell you.
that's going right now, to interfere. So it's not just the question the parents is trying. They're trying to take the parents out of it.
But you can have a medium ground. And that medium ground to me is that parents who allow this, they should be held accountable. All right. That's child neglect, that's child cruelty. They should be fined and placed in jail.
Thank you. So
All
we
right.
do have the mechanism of the states when it comes to taking your parental rights away. So when are we gonna address this as a parental right issue? That's why I want common sense solutions. I'm just tired of the pendulum where, oh, let's fight over this. Let's create this subterfuge of an issue when it's not really an issue.
Mhm.
Because again, my kid cannot take an aspirin from the nurse's school without my permission.
Absolutely.
Why on earth
They-
would my kid have a life-altering?
They can't even get a
procedure for-
tattoo.
Thank you. Without your permission.
That's
So
right.
how is this a debate now that we're talking about a life-altering procedure
Yeah. I mean, once you begin to penalize those children, I think parents, you begin to see a change in this.
In the behavior.
And the behavior.
Yes,
all right.
That's why I wanted to get at, boy. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just letting you know we need to put the decision back in the parents in the home.
When you have
the price.
legislators introducing bill like Tim Walz taking the parents right away. So I mean, and then you're talking about we have a conservative court, but the legislators, the law has to be passed, and all the in the court is later on. You know, they interpret the law. So it's not a question of we have a conservative court. I think the people in this country, we have to have some common sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're losing that. And I'm glad Kamala Harris is not the president, because this stuff it will be doubled down. But let me get to some serious topic that's going on this week.
Oh, that wasn't serious.
That was very serious.
We're just playing the game.
No, excuse me. Let me get to more serious topic that's going on. Okay. No, everything is serious in this show. Trump considering to replacing Pete Hegseth with Ron DeSantis as a defense secretary pick. As we see, Pete is making his way around Capitol Hill. There's several sexual allegations. They're trying to put him as Judge Kavanaugh 2.0, if you guys know what I mean by that. Basically, the left trying to find every accusation, sexual accusation, to throw at him. So with that, and from what I understand, coming from the DeSantis camp, it was Ron DeSantis who wanted that job.
All right, let me jump on. A guy like myself, you know my stance on Governor DeSantis. Man, I would be so happy for him to be confirmed. President Trump, if you're listening, Governor DeSantis will be the best defense secretary you'll ever have. I don't care who the next Republican governor for a state is. I would welcome him with open arms. All right. I'm just saying, I'm promoting the man. You remember in the federal government, you promote to get rid of some people. For me personally,
are you promoting because you don't want him to be the governor?
I'm just saying, man.
2016,
Again,
or what?
I'm consistent with what I say. I want to have control over my kids' education, what they do, and I feel the governor has overreached, especially in some of his fights when it comes to it. But on a serious note, I think Governor DeSantis will be a much better choice to lead the military. The reason why, I think from a judge advocate standpoint, he served his country admirably.
They both did.
No. Let me finish now. I know that's your boy, but let me finish my argument. Not only he served, he served. I said he served admirably. So I'm not gonna get into Pete. Not only that, he's got executive leadership, because I heard the argument the other day and some people got upset. And I think Dr. White knows this very well. Whether Americans want to accept it or not, the Defense Department is one of the biggest corporations in the world.
$900 billion budget.
Come on, man. We're touching almost $1 trillion. Nearly $1 trillion.
Yeah, nearly $1 trillion.
You cannot be some, Joe Blow from the streets running that. You could be a military general and still not have the business acumen to run such a large corporations. I feel somehow Pete is not ready from that executive standpoint to come in and take over such a mean machine and whatnot. Now, people will say, well, he served, blah, blah. Well, yes, he served, but does he have executive leadership or executive
he doesn't have
experience?
that, but when you're comparing those two, I think Pete was a captain in the Navy.
Pete was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. And Pete, I will tell you, Pete's resume is a public affair guy through and through, even in the military. He's never
went to Harvard and Yale.
No. Different path. This is why it's important. Pete was a PAO guy through and through. He's never commanded as much as a company in the military.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Not even a platoon of 21 men. This is someone who's built a career off of public affairs. And I respect that. Everybody served admirably, but we're talking about executive leadership. Someone who was in the judge advocate corps, who actually argued cases, who led from the front. Again, I can disagree with the man and tell you why I think he's qualified for the job. So I think if you're looking at the two, it's apple to oranges. My vote will definitely go for Governor DeSantis. And again, it served my purpose too.
I think your vote going to DeSantis, so you want to get rid of him in Florida.
I think go ahead, Malia. Go ahead.
I will jump in right here, because when I got the news earlier, I was like, oh no, we can't lose Governor DeSantis again, because I fought hard to get him back in the midterms, and then 6 months later he was running for office, and then he left us high and dry to pursue his dreams of the presidency, and that didn't fruition. And he came back and he did some good work in the last couple of months. But I'm gonna have to go with Roberto here, because he just really changed my mind when I'm really thinking about this position and what it could do. Our guy, Governor DeSantis, we know what kind of leadership he has. We know he can, he didn't want to run the country, but we know what he's done here in Florida. And he has those skill sets that Roberto was talking about that's going to take this defense and do something really great with it. So I think I was not on board before because I wanted him to stay here in Florida. But I think if he's going to serve better and do a better thing for this country, and then I'm on board with him getting nominated for this position. So there, I've said it.
I think there are some things that we have to look at. I mean, I agree with all of us that he has been a very, very good executive leader. He's a leader of a large state that tells us that he's able to handle the $1 trillion budget of the Pentagon. That's very important. But there are some issues that we need to look at very carefully, because he will have now not just be in head of a state, he will have global strength. I mean, let's look at some of the issues. One, DeSantis has consistently been hostile to Cuba, just like Marco Rubio. That's problematic.
Is it because of the background?
I think so, but there's a heavy element of a anti-communist, pro-Cuban lobby down in South Florida.
But
So,
hold
let me
on.
finish.
Yeah,
But let me-
don't
let me-
lose your thought, because
okay.
I just I don't want to
Yeah,
lose you. Marco Rubio is a Cuban descent. Is that correct?
he is.
Okay, and Ron DeSantis is Puerto Rican, Cuban, and
Italian.
Italian.
Yes.
Okay. Why would you have a problem with that? To the stand that they think against Cuba, why would you have a problem?
let
with
him
that?
finish
Yeah.
the point.
yeah.
Okay. I will give you that answer right now, real quick.
Okay.
Then let me go on, because most people don't know the real history of Cuba and what occurred after Fidel Castro. All right. Remember, you had the president of Cuba. Just forgot his name. Before Castro, he was
Juan Batista.
Batista.
Juan Batista.
He was hostile. He created a class society. The Afro-Latinos there did not have any strength. It was nothing more than a playground for American tourists and the mafia. The country did not grow. So when Fidel Castro came in, he wanted to create an element of equality and a better life. And he took Cuba now from being one of the poorest countries in reference to the life skills of the underclass to becoming one of the more progressive countries in Latin America. I mean, outside the United States and Canada, Cuba has the best medical facilities. Outside the element of the United States and Canada in reference to military, they have been very successful going into Namibia, even fighting the South Africans during the apartheid ship. Those things cannot be ignored. And even though the United States have had this blockade for over 70 years now, which is nonsense, they have still progressed. It's time to stop that. Whatever hostilities and anger we had towards Fidel Castro, a man that I met, and Raul, his brother, who's gone now, we should let that die. We need to establish a new chapter with Cuba. That's the reality. And Marco Rubio and DeSantis kind of scares me on that. The second element, remember when we were expecting a number of Haitian refugees to come into South Africa, to South Florida, he sent the troops there, all right, to block them, all right, and so that's kind of questionable. He has a hostility against Venezuela, Venezuela has one of the largest oil refineries in the world, a country that we should be working with. All right. We forget that Venezuela owns Citgo, and that a few years ago, when things was really bad, about 10, 12 years ago, they were even giving free oil to people in the Black community and around. We also see that DeSantis, for a long time, he supported the Ukrainian war. I think he has backtracked now, and that's a good thing. But most Americans don't want that. He also sent a lot of weapons to Israel. All right, that is something that we have to look at. And on a sixth element, he was there on Guantanamo Bay watching people get tortured. So, is he going to bring those things into his new office? I hope not. And if he does, I believe that Donald Trump is strong enough to say to him, chill out a little bit. This is not the direction. But if there is a pause, these are questions that we have to look at, not as being Republican or Democrats, but being as humanists on this. I believe personally he will do a good job. I believe that he will not fall back on these issues, but we have to keep an eye on him, and we have to make sure that he does these things that will be good and will not hurt our interest. And our interest is the base of African American people and the Caribbean.
The music is playing. Roberto, make the point.
Okay.
So I don't know.
You gotta pay some bills.
He said, "You go ahead, make the point. You go ahead, make the point."
One key point, folks. This is why international affairs is complex. Dr. White just explained it. We cannot just look at it as black and white, because none of it is. One thing that I would say, Dr. White, is that Teflon Don, like I call President Donald Trump, is in the White House. Remember, DeSantis is in the doghouse right now. He needs to show loyalty at all turns to remain in President Trump's good side. So I know at the end of the day, he's going to have a very tight leash, and there's not much he will be able to do on his own. Yeah.
All right, we got to pay some bill. We got to pay some bill. And also the radio's open. The show is open. So if you need we need some advertisers, go ahead. You could call 407-894-1680. And if you want to participate in the show, the phone line is also open. So anything that we discuss, you feel free to welcome and participate with us. 407-894-1680. Go ahead, take it, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Local nonprofit organization Silver Gala hosts their 5th Winter Gala on Saturday, December 28th at the Sheraton Orlando North Hotel in Maitland. And it will be a night to remember. This is a formal event, so come dressed to impress in your black and white gowns and suits. Your paid ticket includes a plated meal, beverages, entertainment, and dancing to the beats of the amazing Viral the DJ. Oh, and for those interested, there will be a cash bar too. Early bird tickets now available for a limited time, so take advantage of a 33% discount by purchasing your tickets now. Go to the silvergala.org website or eventbrite.com and search for SGI Winter Gala 2024 on December 28th. Want to stay the night? Special group room rate is available until December 16th at the Sheraton Orlando North Hotel. Details and reservations link provided when you purchase your gala ticket.
Hello, I'm Don Daniel, founder of Pill Method International. Join us at the Pillars of Prosperity Conference on January 31st, 2025 in Orlando, Florida. This event is perfect for anyone aiming to revolutionize their financial strategy. You'll dive deep into our AI-powered Pill Method, learning how to dramatically reduce interest payments and master your financial future. Why attend? Beyond top-tier financial education, you'll get to enjoy a plated 5-star lunch and valuable networking. You'll get to transform your financial understanding in a luxurious setting. Register now at popclive.com. That's popclive.com. Don't miss this chance to empower your financial journey in sunny Orlando. See you there.
You're listening to Inspiration 1680 AM, WOKB Winter Garden, W2640F 100.7 FM Kissimmee, and around the world at WOKBradio.com. Inspiration 1680 AM and 100.7 FM Kissimmee.
The views and opinions of the following program is not necessarily those of WOKB, staff, and management of Unity Broadcasting.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Jeff. Welcome back. Welcome back. Our shows every Thursday from 5 p.m. from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. I wish I could. A lot of people want me to have more days, but I can't ask my colleague for any more than what I asked for. And if also you want to advertise, you want to sponsor the show, you could call me at 407-758-7510. Once again, 407-758-7510. I'll take every Democrat I could get. Every Democratic business, I'll promote your business.
Question, man. Where's Johnny?
Johnny is with a daughter playing soccer, so in sport. So he could not make it today.
Johnny,
So,
I'm waiting for you next week, buddy. Invitation stands.
So, and also, if you want to sponsor the show, you could also call Shanti during the day, ask for her or Glenn, 407-894-1680. I think Roberto was making the last point before I move on to the Joe Biden pattern is his son Hunter Biden. So before I move on,
I think we discussed it. It's just a matter of, again, Governor DeSantis, he knows where he stands in the pecking order right now. He understands loyalty is key to President Trump. So I don't think he has too much room for maneuver. He has to make sure that he stays in line and execute exactly whatever President Trump's policy is on defense and, again, global defense, because the U.S. have got to adopt a new posture. We know that. So let's see what that new posture is. I can tell you, boy, it's nationalism, take care of your own borders, and the U.S. is not going to meddle in your affairs unless we absolutely have to. President Trump told us that in term one. We're seeing the ramifications already around the globe. France just got rid of their prime minister. I can guarantee you they're going to be focusing more so on strengthening their own borders.
Well, they're going a little bit more conservative side now.
That's what I'm saying to you. So President Trump is setting the tone on the global stage, it seems like, for government to start thinking my country first and everybody else after. So that's going to be interesting the next 4 years.
One thing I'm going to convict you with, and that is we never have the right to meddle in anyone's business affairs.
That's the whole way. So now I'm
All-
saying
all the
President
way.
Trump is changing that right now.
Amania, you got something in the background. Give me a feedback. So turn it off, Mama.
Feedback.
Yes, you got something. Give me a feedback. Yeah, you
I
got
don't know.
something. You got something on.
All right.
Okay.
Here, I will.
Let me move on to this very topic. Here is Joe Biden. Pardon, Hunter Biden. Joe Biden stated several times that he will not do that. Roberto, Dr. White, you know it and I know it. If I was in that position as my son, you were the president and your son is facing prison, all this felony. He's not been a great individual. He's a crackhead, even brought crack to the White House.
Damn, boy, you say that with so much hatred for the crackheads.
Yeah, he's a crackhead.
You don't want the crackheads to not vote for you next time you run for office? I'm just making a smile, but go ahead.
He's a crackhead. And the Secret Service try to hide the crack. And that's why I'm so happy that President Trump appointed Kash Patel. That's a great appointment for the FBI. Hopefully, that's going to shake things up in Washington, D.C. And today, the White House is thinking about pardon more people. Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, who was the chairman of the Judicial Committee under the Biden administration, and great Dr. Fauci. We know Joe Biden gave a blanket from starting from 2014 to 2024. My question to you guys and to the great audience that's listening, the Democrat team, nobody's above the law. And we see the country reacted. Now, not just Liz Cheney or Dr. Fauci and Adam Schiff. Jack Smith is on the list. Letitia James out of New York is on the list. Alvin Bragg, the prosecutor who prosecuted Donald Trump, is on the list. Judge Merchant is on the list. And Fannie Willis is on the list.
From Georgia. Right?
From Georgia. So, Roberto and Dr. White, you guys have more common sense than I do.
No, not at all.
Explain that to me. If these people did everything right by the book or by the law, they didn't use any lawfare, any injustice prosecution, why would President Joe Biden issue a blanket pardon to them, just like he did for his son?
I'll jump on the first point that you did not go back to. President Biden, I don't agree with him on much, but that pardon for Hunter Biden, again, as a father, well, you will call me a lying, cheating bastard because I will go back on my word too and pardon my son any day. God forbid if something was.
But we know that was going to happen.
No. But here's the thing. This is where, again, I want to go back to the Democrats. Do you know he caught more fat from the Democrats than the Republican on this one? Well, Democrats, for the life of them, could not
because they're embarrassed, Roberto.
I
They're
don't care about
embarrassed.
their embarrassment. This is what
That's what it is.
This is where real life has to matter. Experience has to matter.
Because they know President Biden is going to pardon his son.
But listen, Voight. This is what I'm trying to say to you again. Democrats have done this time and times again, where they're willing to claim the moral high ground. When they, in truth and fact, they don't look at the real life ramifications of certain decisions. They ended up doing the same to, what was his name? The Cuomo guy out of New York. Yeah. Investigation cleared him. Now, did he say some stuff out of line to some of his staffers? Absolutely. Democrats went with the pitchfork in the middle of the night and they just ran him out of the governor mansion. President Trump performed the best he's ever performed in New York this time around. You don't think there's a correlation? What I'm saying to you is that at some point,
Every blue state.
Hold on. Yeah. Democrats got to wake up at some point and realize they need to stop living in that utopian world they live in. The man has lost a son already. He has one son living. Whether it's perfect or imperfect, he's in a position for the last time of his life to ensure that his son doesn't go through some more pain than he's already gone through. And you're upset that he pardoned his son? Now let's go back and look at President Clinton, who he pardoned. President Trump, who he pardoned.
But maybe he's trying to cover his CYA.
No. But what I'm saying to you is, at some point, I'm not even talking about Republicans. Democrats need to stop that holier than thou crap. Excuse my language. Because we Americans live in the real world. If you poll any father and ask him, how do you feel about President Biden pardoning his son? I don't see much objections coming from any one of them. I just want to address that part first before we move to something else.
I think you're right. Most Americans are not upset because he pardoned his son. I mean, I would do the same. I do that for my daughter as well. They're upset with the fact that President Biden said that it was a witch hunt against his son. All right.
So it was not a witch hunt against Donald Trump?
It was.
Now show it.
Yeah. I mean, he showed it. But
that's why the Democrat now, they feel like, wait a minute here.
See, by him saying that,
this is a slap in the face?
It shows the hypocrisy
exactly.
of Biden. All right. If he would have said, listen, that's my son. I can't, he's my only remaining living son. This is what I'm going to do. And let it stop there. It would have been cool. But he's tried to justify it by saying that it's making it a political issue. And that's where
need to continue. My wife made the same argument that why does he need to feel to justify by going there? Because that's not even necessary at this point.
Absolutely.
Well, that just killed the Democrat argument completely.
But that's why he said Biden's the dumb butt.
Because again, there's a disconnect. I think again, if you're gonna poll,
Roberto, you think because of the disconnect? Let me ask you this: the way the Democrat treated him.
Who you say? No, Biden.
By giving him a coup.
Listen to me, man. Biden. I said this to everyone, and people don't think I'm messing around. I said Biden is probably the pettiest person you'll ever meet in your life. I'm seeing from the global wars going on, the decision he's making in his life. He's being petty every single way out of the door of the White House. So yes, that he might have considered not pardoning his son, but just as a last, you know what, in American foul language to the Democrats, I'm gonna do it anyway. Now you don't have the moral high ground to say Trump can't pardon XYZ from his administration.
You look at the history of Biden, 53 years in Washington, D.C., he never was a straight senator.
What do you mean by that?
He plagiarized mostly everything. I mean, that's history's there.
I mean,
he never been
an honest
person.
One of my favorite guys.
Come on.
I'm not even gonna go into honesty part. I'm saying
he got a history.
But my thing is, at the end of the day, is the bigger point. Democrats need to start living in the real life. This is why they came for months, said inflation is not a real issue. Inflation is just made up. Americans said otherwise.
And so Biden's mental capacity was at 100%.
So you're living in that utopian, fictitious world, and they need to stop living in it.
I think Amalia wants to say something.
Amania, now you're on mute.
Okay. So I just want to say my issue with all of this with Hunter Biden, crackhead Hunter, we'll just throw that out there because I got to get it off my chest. Where's Hunter? So
it's like they have fun. 34 count felony.
So my issue with this whole pardon is that they got Hunter on this gun charge and so on, which was like minor compared to the whole resume of what Hunter Biden has done. And my thing is that Biden has now covered him for 11 years from 2014 until 2024. So he's like got this blanket pardon where all of these things that he has done, like treason to the country, accepting doing business with foreigners and accepting money, becoming rich off the back of people, espionage, all of that is now hidden and nobody can touch him in reference to that. And I also believe that the people that are involved with this thing with him who are guilty, what about them? Can he now say, start talking and incriminating some of these people that, he did these bad things with? That's my whole point with that.
I think, Amelia, you have a great point, because now by going 10, 11 years back, President Biden is he shielded himself because he doesn't have to justify that 60 to 80 million dollars that he made from the Ukrainian deal that his son was involved in. Remember that. People forget about that. And so therefore, by being covering him up, by having his pardon, he doesn't have to answer these questions. He has protected himself. That's the real issue there. I'm glad you brought that point up.
But see, Dr. White, this is the thing. Now, I covered the Democrats at length. We also have to be careful with political retribution. That's the biggest issue. And to address Voy's primary question, then I come back to the Republican. America is at a dangerous place, I feel, when any incoming administration is looking at, you did this to me, now I'm going to do this to you too, which, by the way, there is a lot of unfortunate things that they did do to President Trump that should have not happened. And now, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how preemptive pardon works, meaning you pardon someone before there's even an indictment or there's a crime. I don't know how that works. So for Biden to be thinking that, that's crazy. But for President Trump to be going after them, that's even crazier. But now we're going to get into this vicious cycle in America. And we've seen it in the third world where I come in, I whack out your guys. You come in, you whack out my guys. So eventually what might happen, as we've seen in a lot of other countries, where this kind of situations occur, most people won't want to serve in government anymore.
But remember, the last time Trump was in as the president, he could have gone after Hillary Clinton, but he didn't.
He didn't.
All right, so there's no real
and then he didn't
evidence.
pardon any himself, or that he could. Now we know that he could do it, and his family. And they went. The Democrat went vicious.
That's right. So there's no evidence that he goes after anyone. Yeah. Okay, we can't. But
Roberto, do you know who first went after Donald Trump?
This is what I'm saying.
It was Barack Hussein Obama.
Listen, Voy, I already considered the point that Democrats did a lot of vicious stuff by going after President Trump. How they did. Now everybody's afraid of retribution. That's why I'm saying the yet part, because you're not gonna go and cover yourself.
So why they should afraid if they know they were not using the lawfare as a prosecution?
Because President Trump told them. No.
Let's not be
coy about this. No. President Trump told them, I'm coming after each of you that went after me.
Adam Schiff, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis. So if they did everything by the book and Jack Smith, why should they get a pardon from Joe Biden?
That's not what we're talking about. We were asking the questions.
Yeah.
Why is it that we think President Trump is going to go after them? President Trump
should
go after them. So that's what I'm saying to you. Now, in terms of preemptive pardon, I do not know how that works from a legal
and it
standpoint.
should not be legal.
I don't know how it works. I don't even know you could do that where before a crime happened, Voy, in the name of Pope Roberto Baptiste, I forgive your future sins. That's what it sounds like to me. It's absurd. To me, it's just absurd and ridiculous. But
hold on a second.
Hold on. Let me make the final point. If you were to do that, you're destroying the whole country.
If Trump would have do the same thing, Paul Manafort would not be destroyed.
You see how Voy not listening? Voy.
No, I'm listening to you.
You're destroying an entire country.
Because the Democrat was outraged when Trump.
Conceding the point to you.
I know.
That now going forward in the future, every president, anybody that was in bed with me that did anything bad, I'm going to give them a blanket pardon. No one can ever go after them. So what country are you running at that point? It's just a cesspool.
Well, you guys open a Pandora box.
That's where we're at right now, it seems like. What do you mean, you guys, by the way?
You're a Democrat.
My whole point with this pardon situation. Now, when we look at everything that they've done to President Trump and Roberto, you're right there. You admit it. Yes, they did a lot of bad things to President Trump. We're talking a whole lot of people on the other side, the media, the fake news, all of them. They did a horrible things to President Trump. But the person I really think that really did a lot to the American people is Dr. Anthony Fauci. And Fauci Stein, as I'd like to call him, now he needs to answer for this COVID nightmare that was leashed upon we the people across this country. Fauci should not be getting no blanket, immunity or whatever the hell it's called. No, Fauci needs to stand up and face the fire of what he did to we the people for this COVID-19 stuff.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, Amania. Too many people lost their lives, man. Yeah. Too many people. And we got to get to the bottom. They lie.
we should hold the Democrats accountable on this issue as well. And that is, we have a number of Black men and women who are in jail for non-violent crimes, selling drugs, that type of thing. If he's going to do all these pardons, what about those people? All right. What
Good
about
luck
the
with
people?
that.
All right,
And he
see?
was the architect. Don't forget, he was
That's
the
right.
architect of the
That's right.
1994 crime bill.
That's right.
And he was very vicious. And Joe Biden, when he got on the floor, and you could see his racist eyes was coming out. These people are predator,
That's right. Super predators.
super predator.
So
Did they make a T-shirt out of that? Was
Now,
there a
now we
t-shirt
get
made
into the
out
real
of that?
issue.
Super predators.
No.
The words of Joe Biden.
We're now getting to the real issue, and this is where again I live in the real world. I love to point that out because America, sometimes when I sit and watch the news and listen to some of these things, I ask myself, is this still planet Earth? Because it's the absurd that's going on. Now, here's my thing. Let's look at both parties and what's going on in terms of who gets what immunity. Guys, President Biden should have never gotten any vote from the African American community, whether the first time or the second time. We all know that. Especially if you're Haitian, some of the stuff he said about Haiti and some of the stuff he's done, whatever. In terms of policies towards Haiti, he should have not gotten any votes from us. That's already done. Let's look at President Trump. We literally have a filthy rich white man in terms of the father-in-law of one of his kids that actually cheated people out of money, went and set up his own brother-in-law on a videotape having sex with a prostitute just so he could blackmail his brother-in-law not to testify against him. President Trump went ahead, pardoned that guy. You know what that guy's role is going to be now? He's the next ambassador to France. So let me ask the question, because Dr. White, my dear brother, just pointed it out. How many brothers we have in prison right now that's not coming home? When they do come home, that can't even land a job because there is no second chance in America for selling the same drug that now a lot of rich white guys have legalized to make money off of. Of course, now we're going to touch on Hunter Biden, who actually smoked it at the White House. That is why I tell you guys, I'm disheartened by parties in this country because they're not solving real issues. Because whether you're black, Hispanic, white, you should get a second chance. That second chance shouldn't only belong to the highly connected politically. So I'm kind of disgusted by the whole thing. I'm making sense of a lot of it. But if we really want to solve crime and then the criminal justice system reform that we want, we got to stop looking at, okay, this is my son, this is my father-in-law. How do we make every American part of this second chance effort? But we're not talking about that because this is a country now. We just want to talk about what we can make sexy on national television. I don't care about that.
Roberto,
personally.
that's why folks like you should run for office.
Negative, sir. I can't do that to my family, man.
I know. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. But Stephen A. Smith, I mean, his say
Not
comes from
Stephen A.
Stephen A. Smith. I disagree with him 100% of the time, but he's a common sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Jeff.
You know what else Biden should do? And I know people are going to get upset about this, but just think about it before you go crazy on me. Not you, everybody else. If I were he, I would pardon Trump.
The multimedia marketplace.
I
You
would
know
pardon
something?
Trump.
Honestly,
I would say
honestly,
this
as
has gotta
crazy as this
stop.
sounds, Chris,
I'd pardon.
Chris, that's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what I would do. Enough's enough. You know
Caribbean.
what? You're
No.
the Democrat.
Multimedia
You lost the
marketplace.
you lost the election. You got your butt whipped. You couldn't prevent him from going back to the White House. More than a dozen cases have been dropped against him. The cases that have been ruled against him, he's going to appeal, and he'll
Caribbean.
probably get off from having
Multimedia
to deal with
marketplace.
all of that. It's time to move forward. You want to get at Trump? Sit back and judge what he does. Guess what? You got a midterm election in 2 years. Are you going to be ready if you're the Democratic Party? You should be.
Caribbean.
You know, he's going to be
The
the presidency
multimedia
for 4
marketplace.
years. You're going to be able to judge every single act that he does. March forward, move forward. You know, Gerald Ford could have let Nixon suffer. You understand? He didn't let that
Freebie,
happen. Why?
the
Because it was for the
multimedia
good of the country.
marketplace.
The whole hanging Chads issue in 2000 between George W. Bush and Al Gore. Gore could have dragged it on. He didn't. It was for the better of the country. And a lot of times these folks speak about this
Freebie,
stuff, but they
the
don't do
multimedia
what they
marketplace.
say they're going to do and what they implore others to do, which is where the disgust elevates exponentially for for Washington, D.C., because we know they're full of.
Okay. All right,
What's your
I
take
take
on the
that
party?
back. I finally found one statement I
what's your take on
completely
the
agree
party?
with when it comes
8 years ago,
to Stephen A. Smith, because I watch him in sports a lot. I disagree with him on everything else that he says, so I have to put that out there. My God. Okay, I'm gonna jump on this grenade first, and then I'll give
Go
it
ahead.
back to you guys. Again, if you're talking about unity, you're talking about moving the country forward where you don't create that cesspool I've been alluding to. Whereas every single cycle, you're going after people, trying them in courts, and then you have this democracy being destroyed from within. That would be a brilliant move, because we know New York is not just gonna drop the case or just erase the case out of thin air. So if you truly want to move forward, the federal cases don't have no leg to stand on the moment that President Trump won the presidency. So if you're trying to unify the country and move the country forward, that would be a brilliant move, like Stephen A. just pointed out. But that's not the climate that we're in. Democrats are not getting ready for 2 years, are they?
No,
They're
I
just like
think
looking at sour milk.
I
just
think they're going to
trying
be
do
more
the
bitter.
infighting.
I think they're going
That's
to be
what
more
I'm saying.
bitter.
Have you guys seen some of the online posts?
Yeah.
Oh my God. If you go on Instagram and I read some of this, and I
Yeah.
said to myself again, is this planet Earth or are we living somewhere else? People are so disconnected from reality. The last thing I saw was so many regular people. I'm moving to Canada. I'm moving to France. I'm moving there. I'm moving this. Okay, good riddance. How's that going to impact or change anything? Those that want a better system stand and fight for it. What are you fighting for?
Roberto, please
Go ahead.
let the Democrat move. Let the Democrat move. Let the Democrat move. Come on now.
You know, Alberto, you're absolutely right. Along with this, it would be a better place if we could bring the country back together. But many people on the left, and even some on the right, they understand that division is big money. All right? Division, hostility breeds jobs for their group. I mean, if everything is right and moving forward, who needs an Al Sharpton? Who needs a Joy Reid?
Who needed Oprah Winfrey?
Oprah Winfrey. All right. They like to see division. They like to see hostility.
I heard Oprah's gonna move because her name is in the Jeffrey Epstein lease, and Kash Patel is gonna
We'll
release
find her
that.
there. She's a freaky deaky. All right.
We know she been freaky.
Yeah, man. We're from Chicago. We know that. You can't hide from the South Side.
Ugh.
You know. Don Miller would tell you that.
Go ahead, finish it.
You know, so they want division. That's why I always say that these people like pimping the struggle, right? They create an element. So how are we going to get rid of this? Let them all go. And we have to create new avenues, new people. We have to reform the parties, make them more accountable to the people, and look at, as you stated, real issues, bread and butter issues. People want homes. People want to be able to pay their light bill. People want to be able to spend a 2-week vacation someplace. That's it.
I don't think the other side look at it like this. They look at it. No. When you say both sides, I disagree.
The underclass, the poor people do.
I think you have when you look at the MSNBC world. Okay, I hope Elon Musk go ahead and purchase it. He put a bid for it for $1 billion.
That's it.
NBC separated from MSNBC. That's why Rachel Maddow and George Reid, they're going ballistic, going more crazy. I hope he also put a bid for ABC News. Okay, so we could take control of some of that nonsense.
No. Boy, see, this is where I got to go and play devil's advocate. Boy, let me ask you a question. Name me 3 policies from Governor DeSantis that has helped the little guy in the state of Florida in terms of the economy.
Name you 3 policies?
Yes. And I'm going to go back. While you're thinking about it, I'm going to name you 3 policies from Jeb Bush that helped the little guy. You can disagree about all foreign affairs and everything else. Investment in youth education in the state of Florida. We were rock bottom when Jeb Bush came into office. Governor Bush, you remember him?
Yeah.
He actually had the youth forum, if you remember, where now he brought private sector initiatives. Let's invest in our youth. Let's open up 2-year universities for parents to be able to afford to send their kids to college. You know what? Parents might want to buy a home. Let's make sure now we have, on top of the federal homestead exemption that can happen, let's make sure we give a tax break to families that are buying their first home. What are Republicans and Democrats doing to solve the real issues rather than just throwing us red meat? Let's talk about abortion. Let's talk, not that they are not important, but if I can't afford
Roberto,
the light in my house, how am I going to be able to afford to talk about this issue?
capitalized the political.
That's the point.
No, that's not
Go
true.
ahead.
Democrat capitalized on the abortion issue. That's why they spent over $58 million plus on it.
Whether you're pro-life
Okay.
or pro-choice, you gotta
All
do
Trump
that.
had was saying an abortion, since you bring it up, because that's how your liberal does things. Okay.
Thanks for labeling me a liberal. I didn't realize I was, but thanks. I guess I got a new title now.
Okay. So it's take it out from the federal government, send it to the state. It was just that simple. Women's not losing their right. You see people going crazy, women shaving their head.
You tap dance around the question.
No,
about
I
your
didn't
boy
tap
Ron.
dance.
I need you to answer about your boy Ron.
But-
what three
but-
policies is done for me as a little guy or anybody else as a little guy to help alleviate our suffering?
But look at the economy in the state of Florida. Look at the economy. Look at what Ron DeSantis has done. When you talk about
What economy?
education,
Are we still actually this is the thing with the federal government and state government. You can't complain about Biden and not complain about the governor of Florida in terms of the lack of access to home buying in this country. So if you're saying Biden destroyed the country economically,
okay, when you
you're saying the governor helped destroy the state economy. Here's the thing that I'm telling you, Voy. Right now, look it up, folks. You have Wall Street moving into Main Street. While you cannot afford to buy a home, they've allowed the big capital of funds to actually go and purchase an excess amount of homes that they are leasing. When you go and you're competing against those big Wall Street investors, the home that you were supposed to buy that would have cost you $200,000 is now worth $450,000. So you are literally working simply to pay a mortgage. In what America can you afford that?
But Roberto, do you know Florida's a migrant state?
No.
People-
Let's stay on issue.
Okay,
Let's
I'm
stay on
staying on
issue.
issue.
I'm talking about from a mortgage home buying perspective as a first-time home buyer. What did Governor DeSantis do to prevent Wall Street to move into our neighborhoods and take over all these homes? You go to actually the beltway of Jacksonville, entering Brunswick, and going around to Savannah, Georgia. All these homes are owned, or the majority of them are owned by big bigs from New York. And they are leasing them fully furnished and everything else. Meanwhile, you've worked as a teacher your entire career, thinking you could buy a home that you could live for your kids when you pass away. You can't even do that. So you can't even begin with the first letter of the American dream, which is the A. So those are the real issues that we don't want to talk about.
Well, the Zyla, you familiar with the Zyla website? The owner?
Absolutely.
Okay, he was doing that, buying a lot of home, and still that today. I could understand your point. I could understand your frustration, and that should have a limited. Is it because the way our market is, our economy is, a lot of that is? I mean, this is a valid point you brought up. I'm not going to dance around the issue.
I mean, we have to deal with this. We have to look at the economy, and we have to bring industry back so people can have real jobs. We need to bring up the minimum wage. I mean, Biden talked about a minimum wage he's going to do. He never did do. I mean, the real minimum wage should be over $30 an hour for anyone, just to make ends meet here. So we have to bring industry back. We have to re-educate people so they can work in this new industry, not just for the high tech and the AI people, but blue collar jobs. They're not doing that. We have to bring business etiquette back to our country with the small businesses, black farmers, small farmers, small mom and pop stores. We got to bring them back so they can make money and deal that way. And we're not doing it. No. And the Democrats are not doing it, and even some Republicans are not doing it. We have to bring that back because again, the middle class, that group is the pillar of our society.
Right, absolutely.
Because when everyone feels good making money, in fact, you have less crime. You have more prosperity. You have more prosperity. Yeah. All right, and we get back to that point whereby America is the envy of the world.
But Dr. White, for the past few years, I don't think the Democrat, they were focused more on the social issue, not economic prosperity?
They focused on welfare issues when it
Okay.
came down to that, and they was going on emotionalism. But just give the Negro, just give the Puerto Rican, just give the Haitian a little beans and a little rice, and they'll be happy. Not
That ship has sailed, but
it doesn't work anymore. That's right.
That.
We talking about, when many groups come to me looking for opportunity, they say to me straight out, Dr. White, we're not looking for a job. We're looking for a business to develop.
We understand generating wealth these days. So
Absolutely.
that scares a lot of people.
Absolutely. And the Democrats didn't do that.
John Morgan, let me jump up because we're in the final hour here. We got about 35 minutes. Super donor, mega donor. John Morgan called it in from the beginning that he was not, everybody know John Morgan, the great attorney who also was behind Amendment 3. And also
Legalize marijuana for folks who don't remember.
Okay. So he was not supporting Kamala Harris. From the beginning, a lot of people, you receive a lot of criticism. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to get John Morgan into the show. But he said something that's very interesting. Last week, there was a poll. Kamala Harris either is going to run again in 2028 or governor of California. Let me let you listen to what John Morgan have to say.
Obama imitating Obama. She is not Barack Obama. She has no talent. She can never run for president again. She ran once and got 0 delegates. She got 8% of California. I begged them not to put her up. She was going to be tethered to Biden no matter what. That was a zero-sum game for her. But she thought that all these votes were for her. They were not. The votes that she got were people voting against Trump. And the votes that Trump got were the people voting for Trump. What the Harris campaign should have done, instead of avoiding Joe Rogan and podcast, it turns out that Barron Trump, who looks like a runway model, was telling his father, you need to go on podcasts. You need to go on Joe Rogan. You know, he was 3 hours late to a rally because he was doing Joe Rogan because that was so important. So Barron Trump is a lot smarter than everybody in the Harris. They said they didn't go on Joe Rogan, the progressives around her. You heard what Carville said. The progressives didn't want to go on Joe Rogan. Look, if I'm running, I'm going on Joe Rogan. I'm living on Fox. That's how you change minds. They played hide the ball. They lost badly. She should go away and never, ever come back. She spent almost $2 billion. They're raising money this week to pay off the debt. If you can't run your campaign, you damn sure can't run the country.
I want to say something, and that is, I mean, Mr. Morgan is right, but I think Mr. Morgan is disingenuous. All right, because he could have said a lot of these things long time ago. He could have said something about the fact that they closed the primary that allowed Mr. Biden to be the nominee. He could have warned people from the very beginning that Harris was a bad candidate, that she was not intellectually.
He did say that.
I don't remember him saying that.
Did.
Okay, well, he should have been saying it over and over again.
Or louder.
And louder, because I didn't see it. I didn't hear it.
They were not going to pay attention.
Well,
but
I'm
did.
going to just jump in real quick just to say that I would say if John Morgan did come out here to say these things early on, and if he really did blow the whistle and really say these things loud, the way they were coddling Kamala Harris and putting her on this pedestal as a white man coming out here to say that, I'm sure they would have tagged him the racist, misogynist who hate black women. I'm just saying.
I disagree.
And all he's saying that he was not going to support her.
Hold on. I disagree. And here's the thing. I remember.
You disagree with that, Roberto?
Yes, I actually listen.
Hold on. For a mega donor, a Democrat mega donor,
let me
he would have get all the accused.
See why I disagree? No, not necessarily. Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Some of us that have been around this politics game for a while, we keep tab. John Morgan knows that he needs to be relevant again among Democrats. He knows Democrats has not forgiven him for teasing us for so long back then about running for governor and left us high and dry. He saw an opportunity for a woman to be down and kick her while she's down, or for a candidate to be down. Kamala Harris is gone. I could care less about $2 billion spent.
But he was responding. Hold on, he was responding to her running in 2028 again.
He went and started something that was not necessary to make himself more relevant. Remember something, you guys. I don't have any issues with Morgan and Morgan, aside for someone who's always been self-serving. This is the same guy who's been an ambulance chaser, who reinvented the term ambulance chaser to make it a multi-billion-dollar industry. He knows how to serve his own interest. There's nothing that he said on that interview that served the Democrats' interest, that served anybody else's interest but his own. John Morgan said a lot of things that make sense.
$1.5 billion.
How much money did President Trump
20
spend on the campaign? Do we know that?
Yes, Trump
No, we
raised
don't.
400
Not a billion.
million. He raised 400 million.
Stop, boy,
and
boy,
spent-
stop.
And he's not in
Boy,
debt. No, he's
stop.
not in debt. Don't tell me to stop. He's not in debt.
Let's stop the
He's
cap.
not in debt. I give you
This
the number.
this country's finance, in terms of elections, have been lost the moment we decided corporations are people. I can literally go right now, if you're running for office, start something for you as a PAC and raise $20 billion. They don't count it as part of your money. Do you think for a reason that all these billionaires making it into President Trump's administration, it's simply out of the kindness of his heart? You know these guys created PACs for President Trump. So we're not counting that money. I'm not here defending Harris. Here's what I'm saying to you for America to hear. When somebody's down, that is not the time to kick him. He had no business going after Harris.
Well,
and
she
saying all these
doesn't
things
have
at
no
this point.
business who says she's going to run in 2028.
Who's to say
So
that?
that's what he was responding to.
Who's to say that? The man
No.
just went, if you want to run in 2028, move to California. Go run in California. Go run for governor. He said Harris is probably going to run for governor. Who cares?
Roberto, the point he's making, she got handed, there was when Biden stepped out the race with 80 million. She went up, raised all that money in 107 days. Okay? So let's not kid ourselves here. He has every right.
Democrats are being sour losers again. That is why they're going to lose in 2 years.
He has every
They
right.
don't learn the
to say,
lessons. No, he doesn't. I
look.
want to see what checks he wrote to the campaign. We know he
Well,
already
no, he
said
said he was not going to support her from the beginning.
exactly.
She
So
was a
what
bad
right does he have
candidate.
to say anything? So you despise
As a mega
someone.
donor?
You're not hearing me,
Ah,
boy.
come on,
How much money
man.
did he donate to of that $2 billion?
Well, he didn't support her.
He did not support her. So now you're coming out against her
because
he just stood on the sideline. That's what I'm saying to avoid that. It's hypocritical. It's nonsensical for this guy to come out at this point. Who are you doing a service to right now? Morgan only serves his own interest. And at last, Democrats need to stop saying, oh, we have a bunch of guys that live in Ivy Towers making decisions for us. Morgan is one of them. So when he opens his mouth and Democrats are running to the hills saying, oh my God, Morgan said this, who cares? Let's go back to the real people that are actually electing people. The one mistake Democrats made was to not reopen the primaries for Harris to run against other people. Money she lost and everything else, that's every campaign. Every campaign is going to lose money. So if that was to disqualify people, Biden should have never rerun again. This is a young man that ran for office in his first term as senator or second term. How much money did he blow through? How much money did Obama blow through? So let's not use that argument. It's absurd.
Well, they didn't blow almost $2 billion in debt. Almost left in debt by $20 million. So, to your point, Trump raised $381 million, and he spent $345 million. And the point that Morgan was saying that if you cannot, and even if it's you running a campaign, if you cannot control your own money, you should not run for office. And that's a valid point.
Yeah, the embarrassment here with Harris with the money thing is that 60% of her dollars came from poor people, class people who gave $5, $10, $15 a shot. All right. And now you're in debt for $25 million after raising $1.5 million. That's the problem.
Billion.
And she raised more money than any other
$1.5
candidate in the
billion.
past. Than any,
and that's
yeah.
the problem, because most of us would never see this type of money. We only can dream about
I
it.
need to make this point. This is what I'm trying to tell Voy, and he's not understanding this. Elon Musk PAC alone, just Musk PAC, spent $200 million for President Trump. I can go on opensecrets.org. It's open to the public.
Okay, Bill Gates gave Kamala $50 million.
You're not
Linda
following,
Gates.
my
Okay,
friend.
that's
what I'm
fact.
saying to you
So-
is this. You will never know how much money is spent to run a campaign. The argument of if you lost an election, you blew through X amount of money should disqualify you to run for office is ludicrous. Abraham Lincoln wouldn't ever be president after losing almost 20 elections. People lose elections, money is spent. What you used to spend in the 1700s is not what you're spending now. That is not ground to tell me someone should disqualify themselves to run for office. It's absurd.
So 2028, we should be prepared for them to be spending $1 trillion.
And that's
I'm removing that high.
The biggest issue is that the Harris campaign is not even paying her workers. You have a number of people who
But she paid
thought-
Oprah.
They paid Oprah.
Oh,
so that's-
yeah.
Pay Al
All right,
Sharpton.
so I think that's the issue that Mr. Morgan is making, that she cannot handle money. So therefore, if she can't handle $1.5
Thank you.
billion and she's in debt for $25 million and her workers are not even being paid, how do and it's Christmas season, that's not a good sign.
Dr. White, see, this
You
is
see.
where I cannot endose that kind of hypocrisy because I was against
How
it.
is it a
Let me-
hypocrisy,
let me
Roberto?
finish.
How is it a
When
hypocrisy?
Democrats went and said, through Barack Obama, President Trump's university failure, President Trump construction company failure, President Trump stick failure. If you look at any hallmark of any real businessman, it takes 200,000 failures to get one success. Those failures do not disqualify you because you have got the ability to rise up again. That's where I stand. So what's good for the goose should be good for the gander. It's simple for me.
So maybe she disqualified herself because of her actions.
That we can look at actions. I never supported her in terms of policy, in terms of everything else. But that, ladies and gentlemen, that should not be a reason. Come on.
But Roberto, bankruptcy and business failure, it gives you an opportunity to reconstruct your businesses. Okay,
So
but
her
campaign.
spending $400 million
If
in a
you want,
campaign is
listen.
ground to
If you want
disqualify
to have that argument, bring it on. Okay, bring it on. But what I'm saying to you, when you're comparing a business and running a campaign, because as the head of the campaign, as the candidate, even if it was you, even if I was your campaign manager, I would have taken the blame. Okay, I would have taken the blame.
So let me ask you this.
Okay,
Now you
So-
you said let's do the argument, right?
Yeah.
When you're running a high-speed campaign in such a short period of time, you mean to tell me every line item she signed off on it? When you have that kind of campaign, that
She should have control of it.
Okay.
When you're giving $2 million to Oprah, $10 million to
Did she make bad
Beyonce,
decisions? I never
500
said. Listen,
500,000 to Al
campaigns
Sharpton,
are lost because of mistakes, voice. So
and-
I'm not going to
and-
sit here and
and
argue
Roland
against
Martin,
what you're saying.
500,000.
Boy.
So you look at all these people, Democrat, who pushing the black agenda. I love the black community. All this nice talk, and guess what? They ought to get paid, and that's why she should take responsibility
You
for
done?
it.
Let me
No,
say
I'm
this
not
to
done.
you. Let me
I
say
am
this to
not
you.
done.
Let me say this to you. Here's one area Democrats have been lacking on to spend money to connect with real people. Yard signs. Every freaking yard signs I've seen out there is Trump. Every flag is Trump. How many Harris flag did you see?
There was
How
a
many
lot.
yard
There was
signs?
a lot.
No,
The Democrat did a lot.
No, they did not
There a
put yard
lot.
signs up. They move away from
You-
yard signs because they believe in social
that
media.
because
I'm
we live in
conceding a
Florida.
point to you. You gotta
We-
listen.
No,
Boy,
no,
you gotta
I know that
listen.
for a fact.
I'm trying to
Go
concede
to
a point to you.
Pennsylvania.
No,
Go to the other blue state.
negative.
They spend a whole lot more money.
Boy,
They spend a whole lot more money.
You've
They
been
were,
here
the
for a
Democrat.
while.
The Democrat was paying people, staying in the line,
boy,
giving free
2008.
food.
How many Obama signs have you seen out there, whether you're in Florida or somewhere
Okay.
else? How many Obama signs? A whole lot. So let's not rewrite history. What I'm saying to you is simple. When you lose elections, mistakes are made. No one can sit here and tell me that she should have had a mega hip hop concert.
You, as
to
a
launch
campaign,
or what
you
have
are the CEO. You are the
Well, Trump was
candidate.
the CEO for Trump University, Trump Stick.
It's
I
called
never counted that against him.
reconstructive your business.
Well,
It
guess
doesn't
what?
call
So
reconstructive
when you
your
are the one
campaign.
person running things, it's appropriate. But when you are actually running a campaign, it's inappropriate. Let's stop the double standard. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
not a double standard,
is.
Roberto. If even you in that position, I would say the same thing. It's not a reconstructive your businesses. You are the head of the campaign.
Yeah. In a campaign, sure, I ran a campaign. You make mistakes.
Absolutely.
But however, you keep making the same mistake, that's a problem. And that's the problem with the leadership. And, you know, when she went through that money and she did not take care of her responsibilities and she'd rather give money to her buddies who are
Absolutely.
multimillionaires, that's a problem. All right. And that's her for her to take responsibility of. And if she can run again, I agree with you. She can run again, but that doesn't mean anybody's going to support her.
That's it. That's your right.
All
That's
right.
your right.
Nobody's going to
You
support
don't
her.
have to.
You see, and that's the real problem with her. And she decided to listen to these young people and these progressives and so forth.
Yes, sir.
All right. She didn't understand.
But that's the whole line of the Democratic Party, Dr. White.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Because
I don't understand how some of you say, well, they listen to the progressive. That's the whole line of the Democratic Party.
That's what I
You
said.
look at this community when we having a show. These people, their mentality, they look at things only one perspective. Look at us as a Haitian talking politics. They find that this is bizarre. These guys are talking.
The Democrats have a showbiz politics. They're showbiz. All right. They want to look. They want to look cute. They want to look exciting. It's a showbiz political organization.
You look at the whole structure of the Democratic Party. Look at all these pastors who got paid by Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah.
Okay. You look at all these talk shows who got paid, but they pushing the black agenda. I love the black community. I don't want to hear from these people no more. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
I'll jump in here.
Go ahead, Mama.
I'm just gonna jump in just to say this really quickly. As you know, as they were pulling Kamala down our throats, and they were telling us that we needed to vote for her, we needed to vote for change, we needed to vote for, you know, the black woman and all of this. And all of these celebrities got behind her. Beyonce came on and gave her 3 minutes, got $10 million out of that for her 3-minute time. You know, Oprah did, you know, the town hall, got herself 2 million, and the rest of them. The problem for me is that they are again snowballing the black people, telling them you need to vote for this woman when they themselves had no, they didn't believe in her. They didn't believe that she was competent enough to get this done. And therefore, they weren't going to waste their time, energy, and effort, but they were going to get paid for their time, energy, and effort. Again, it is that hypocrisy where they come out here to tell you to vote for her, but yet they don't even believe in her. They got to get paid. They got to get their bag out of this deal.
Right?
Because they don't trust her. They don't believe in her.
Yeah, it's a gimmick. I couldn't agree more. Amania, I agree with you. All I'm saying is, in this day and age of ours, that's one of the reasons why I don't like politics anymore, because the money's out of control. A presidency of the United States of America should not be costing $1 or $2 trillion. That's what it costs. Congressional races right now, District 10.
2 million.
2 million. People are literally buying seats, and then we're sitting back like it's okay. I want the Supreme Court to take on this notion that corporations are people. Just because I have a business, I can create whatever X amount of money that I want to support a candidate. That's absurd. So long we don't fix those issues, we're going to be here talking
Roberto,
about money
make
and politics.
your final point. You heard the music. Go ahead, my man.
Always, brother. And here's the thing, man. People probably at home are scared to death right now. Like, oh, these Haitians are screaming at each other. Folks, this is what healthy debate is about. This is my brother Voy. I love him dearly. You are not privy to some of the conversations on the phone. Trust me. In Creole, it sounds actually louder. And after it, it's always endearing and loving. I hope and pray, Voy, that if anything, we can start infecting America again with what healthy debate should be. We can talk, we can disagree. But at the end of the day, let's not forget that we're all Americans and we're all brothers and sisters.
Dr. White.
This is what freedom looks like. All right. Talking to my brothers and my sister. And we're going to continue this. And as Roy stated earlier, support this program. This is one of the only programs in the country whereby we speak free, we speak liberation, we speak truth. Thank you. Have a good night.
And you had a last thing you want to share with the audience there. I'll shop in the...
Of course, he would remind you.
Oh, yes. News article just came out titled, Black Church Coalition calls on MSNBC to suspend Al Sharpton over donations from Harris campaign. Can we all say an amen?
Amen.
Is Al Sharpton going to be held responsible for something?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
We got to see. Amania, go ahead.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so excited to hear that. Well, friends, it was really great being with you gentlemen as always. Love the debate, love the conversation. And again, I'm going to say it as well. We need you all to participate in the conversation when we're having them. Call in, and also part of your participation is sponsoring the program, because we do need your help in that aspect. Come in, advertise your business, advertise your events so that this machine could keep going. So thank you all for that.
Make it a Black Thursday. So,
And let me say thank you to Jeff, the board. Let me say thank you to Shanti, and thank you to Glenn, and to all the staff at WKB who allow me and my colleague Roberto, Dr. White, Amania, and Johnny to do the show every Thursday. And let me thank this great audience and the great community, Central Florida. Like my good friend Roberto said, this is what a healthy debate look like. We could agree and disagree. This is America. Hopefully we're working for great change, and I love this great country, my adopted country. Yes, I was born in Haiti. I came to this country when I was 17 years old. Okay. It was a shocker. It was a culture shock. My kids born here. And I love it then. I enjoy what I do. I'm a consultant. I love politics. I love to involve and engage in my community. Nothing turned me on. Politics turned me on a whole lot than a woman. So I love it. So that's why, Roberto, I 24/7. So a whole lot of things was going on. When you have great people around you, it challenges you more. When you have a friend like Roberto, Amania, and Dr. White, it couldn't be better. So I'm on it for a long ride. Even though I'm very disappointed with a lot of my Democratic friends. So
You guys from the Democratic Party from Orlando and Central Florida, call my boy Voy. It's okay. Thank you.